With the new adventures being brought to us in the Isle of Armor, let's look at which new Pokemon teams we can create to make the best experience of getting through the trials, as well as the many different combinations of Pokemon that we can put together to make the strongest and most appealing new Pokemon teams there could be. As we did only do this at the beginning of Sword and Shield's release, let's see how my team preference has evolved and have a classic team swapping like rivaling starter Pokemon, but with a little touch of how well every Generation 8 Pokemon has developed over time and what could make the best possible teams for the expansion. Welcome everyone to the top 5 best teams for the Isle of Armor Sword and Shield expansion. Number 5. As we'll have 3 spots for each starter Pokemon and a number 1 spot for the best final team, let's start things off with a nicely themed Inteleon team that's catered to the new editions of Sword and Shield. Of course we'll have to start things off with our Inteleon who can Gigantamax, and with that sniper tower built high into the sky, it's only fitting that we call this team Bazooka Joe. Gotta spice up this team with a Galarian Slowbro to give way for the brand new Pokemon coming in, and as it left its water typing behind on all of its stages, starting as a pure psychic type and evolving into a poison psychic, we don't have any overlapping types that could have the 2 Joes together with Slowbro as the second in command. Inteleon covering from the top, Slowbro in the front line. Slowbro also seems like a nice addition, as one of those static Pokemon that stays on a team, while the other types swap out depending on the type of starter you went with. Sort of like Blue's Pidgeot. Personally, I have to add Corviknight into this team. You need a watchdog in the high skies in case someone missed a spot to check, and you didn't notice the 16 construction workers behind Gigantamax and Inteleon building an even larger tower to then snipe it. Flying types always have the high ground, so the entire area will be safe. But in general, it would be a nice defensive addition to the team, and launching itself with Brave Bird while being made of steel is basically a bullet, so it fits the theme too. Gotta have some more protection for our 2 shooters. Stonegener would make a nice fortress, but with how rare fire types are, we have to go with Colossal. It's big, it's bulky, suits the team nicely, and that back can help you forge some bullets, so another good member. For our final 2 Pokemon, we have to go with Dragapult, as launching Dragon Missiles really explains itself, and although repeating types usually doesn't happen on these varied teams, Dragapult can work with its bolts of electric cannonballs to fit in, with another strong attacker from the backlines. But of course we don't want to upset anyone who doesn't like overlapping types, so replacing Dracozolt with Sirfetch'd is probably the way to go, because bringing a knife to a gunfight gives you some options. Together we've collected the 6 members of Bazooka Joe, and hopefully Joe from Cerebi can improve this team. Everyone aboard the Inteleon Tower train. Number 4. With Sun and Moon's lack of new fire types and inability to get very many being recreated into Sword and Shield, starting off a team with Cinderace really sets you off for a decent run to not have to pick between the other 2 Gen 8 fire types and instead get a fight over who else you can have. Gotta start off with Orbeetle. That happy rabbit being paired with an early bug to become a late game friend could really make a nice little pair. Thievul is also a nice Pokemon to add in, as we do need to have a pet-like Pokemon that even managed to age a bit well over time. Maybe not the most powerful, but it has a bit of a personality to carry it out of the shadows. Still pretty deep in the darkness as it's not a hugely looked out for Pokemon, but it does have its place on this team. Gotta then go with Appleton, get yourself some grass, get yourself some dragon, put that together and we've got a big hunk of chunky pie. And one that shoots out large acid balls. Good technique. Phalanx comes in next as you've got a band of bros to line your team together and have a little more leadership if anyone gets into any interpersonal fights. And along with that, you can get another pure fighting type with a lot of experience in the typing to really show Cub Foo the way before letting it go off on its journey to evolve into a new legendary Pokemon. And you know, to really round out the types, let's bring in a grounded Pokemon with Runerigus that can have some defensive traits to teach all those rowdy Pokemon that spirit of stalling. With these 6 Pokemon together, we have made a very well and unique type team where everyone has the color red. That was the entire point of this team, was getting 6 differently typed Pokemon that all had the color red on them. And we did it. We exclusively created the Generation 8 Pokemon Team Color Red. Number 3. Rillaboom's got a special place here as it fits in with the beaches and serene surroundings that the Isle of Armor brings to us. And with all of that, there's one thing we really need to cultivate from it all and bring together to make a perfect team as suitable for Rillaboom as the new area already is to it, with a team based on nature. Good thing we chose to include Galarian Corsola on this team to really remind us of nature in its natural state. Evolving that up into Corsola and having that as a member of our team would go great if we just put that in the back of our rooms, right in the corner as a nice token of feng shui. To go along with this theme, we could also add in Galarian Slowbro, like Blue's Pidgeot, as it's the only non-legendary Pokemon from this expansion region, and should of course be invited to the team. But let's mix things up and bring in Centiskorch, as it has that edgy look and fiery passion to bring into this band of Pokemon. As you can see, we're going for a band theme on Rillaboom's section. A bit more jaded of a band, you know, kind of like Disturbed, Panic at the Disco, Linkin Park, Panic at the Disco. Next, we gotta have Dracovish. Just something crazy popular with an indie look that blasts through the whole crowd. Got our water type and our dragon type together to get that audience going. Finally, to round out the last two players, we gotta get the whole band back together with Toxtricity and Obstagoon. That's where our poison typing can go, and even have some nice electricity typing added in to power up all the bass guitars. Just a fun team to get the old crew back together and have one last hurrah at the end. Even having a more feminine Pokemon with Cursula to bring in a new voice for singing and really channeling that evanescence. Also gonna have to choose Toxtricity for this one. We're calling this one Team Green Day. Number 2. With the star of the show being Cub Foo and the little bear taking the lead on things and even feeling like its own starting Pokemon, let's base this team on that. With Cub Foo being the main character, as it has to go through the towers by itself with you. But which 5 Pokemon can we pick to lead this little guy towards an emotional story of growth before they have to leave it behind to fend for itself and evolve? Find out after this break. Have you ever felt like you needed more very general topics in your sub box from a channel where all the cooler ideas are there and sometimes show up, but you don't know when because they end up in sticky notes for quite some time as a new game comes out to spark the time-sensitive adrenaline of making those in time for everyone and breaking out of the haze of being constantly tired because you don't want to disappoint? Well, you've come to the right place and the right spot, as subscribing to JethroText can get you all of that. Topics for new games, topics that pop up out of nowhere that surprise you, topics that I don't even know how they did well. Just head on down to that subscribe button and click away after you've clicked on the like button on the way there and have yourself a classic time. Who can pick 5 or 10 Pokemon to fit in a video that's basically the same as the last, but one word is changed in the title and somehow it's completely different? It's me. Please subscribe, I'll upload the ones I've been planning for years soon. Also, new shirts, use code DOGA for 10% off. And now back to this one. The 5 Pokemon are Rillaboom, Grimmsnarl, Persiker, Arctovish, and Hatterene. While both types Cub Foo evolve into are covered here, this team is a team of mentors to help Cub Foo along with its evolution journey. You've got the older looking, musically gifted, wise looking gorilla with Rillaboom, who's tough and teaches you the wise ways like an old ancestor coming back to guide you to a route of prosperity. For the next Pokemon, if Cub Foo wants to be a dark type, or even if it doesn't, it can still know what that's like thanks to Grimmsnarl. After that, you've got Arctovish as the old wise, grandfatherly looking Pokemon that teaches Cub Foo the ways of water and the refreshing nature of it. Hatterene then brings in this feminine charm to understand from a different perspective about growing in grace and how its type can go from 2 times effective to 4. Finally, Persiker is there just to kind of like eat food that's available on the island after flying over there from the plane ticket you bought him, like the crazy uncle that comes in out of nowhere. Makes you laugh to some degree by saying a few jokes that are a little bit out of line, but teaches you it's okay to be the small fry, and even somewhat has the same color scheme and looks a little bit like Cub Foo too. That way, when Cub Foo evolves, it can go back and watch Persiker change to its proud, serious Uncle side that no one sees. This is Team Cub Foomily. Number 1. Close out this video, we have to make the perfect team for the expansion. We do have Cub Foo as a pick, and with the 2 legendary Pokemon evolutions being 550 base stats, they aren't the most broken Pokemon they are, aside from their abilities and signature moves, but at least workable onto a nice team, and have a well-rounded style design to feel like you have a decently detailed bear Pokemon with you that isn't a big show-offy legendary Pokemon like a Space Demon. But as a substitute, if you don't like having legendaries on your staple team, we can have Persiker in that place as a little sailing Viking moving onto the island. And as I said, they're pretty similar in color, so it does work well as a placeholder for a team. Look at Persiker and Urshifu beside each other. Exactly the same. Gotta have Corviknight here. It just gives me those must-have bird vibes that Staraptor gave me, with even more overpowered traits. Dragapult has to get in here too as the endgame closure Pokemon that sets off the team, and while I do like Galarian Slowbro, I think we could use a little more defense and some difference in style with Galarian Weezing, to give us some more bulk and a Pokemon that could use some highlighting in a good old-fashioned playthrough team that could also do well in some Wi-Fi battles. Since I have been converted over to the water fighting Urshifu style, and even our substitute Persiker is a Viking so it's an honorary water type as well, we can't add in any other waters, so Inteleon and Dracovish are gonna have to take a backseat to Cinderace. Cause Libero is nice and the Gigantamax with its own wisp-like friend really adds some spirit into the mix, along with its cheerful demeanor that this team so very much needs. It's also a sports team spirit that shows off when it sends that ball of fire with its huge Gigantamax kick into the opponent and our hearts. The final member of the team really brings us a large question mark as who can fill the spot. Hatterene and Grimmsnarl are both some overpowered picks to strengthen the team, and even Toxtricity is a good, cool looking fighter with some strategies. But as all of their types have been covered, specifically by Galarian Weezing because I just wanted to show it some love, we've got to go on the hunt for a wild Pokemon. With Frostmoth. I could have had Ice-Q on this team, but playing through a full game and having a Pokemon beside you to take on new paths that you evolved from its original form and taking the memories with you along the way brings the graceful Bug as the final member of the team. I went from 2 OU picks and a UU pick to RU. Just get Grimmsnarl on this team instead. This team is called, wow, my emotions are all over the place. How did I even make this? There's a bunch of substitute Pokemon instead of just straight up picking them out, and I somehow mentioned about 15 different ones just to get a team of 6. Team. Also known as Team Poor Decision Making. These are the best 5 teams in Sword and Shield's expansion.